What is good? We are back. New year, who dis? What's good, Jay Wayne? How you doing? Hope everybody had a good holiday season. We took the week off, but now we're back. We won't hopefully miss another week for a long time. Jay Wayne, how you feeling over there? Oh, he went with a bottle open.
Doesn't have the same pop to it, does it? Well, I'm out of fresh cracks, so I had to go with the bottle. But I'm feeling good. Happy New Year, Case. I feel like the win probability for having a good show is high right now.
As soon as that fucking thing pops up, I'm immediately rooting for whoever they're like, well, it's 60% chance now. And I'm like, all right, well, going the other way. And almost every time I see it pop up, it goes the other way.
It does go the other way.
In your face, nerds.
Yeah.
All right, so we're back. We're ready to roll. It is the official off-season of Dynasty Fantasy Football. Some would say off-season greater than in-season. So we're going to turn our attention to the incoming rookie class.
I am exhausted, though, so maybe that's true.
A lot of lineups to set, a lot of free agents.
It's a gruel. It's a grind.
Waiver wiring, all sorts of things. But we're here. We still will be working with, the ADP, and we're going to do some early off-season trade targets here, and we'll do the final rookie report coming up, things of that nature throughout the offseason. But from now until post-NFL draft, we're going to be trying to pump out rookie content or prospect content, however you want to chop that up. We're going to do a profile of all the top prospects, that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to do a little Treylon Burks for you today. But we will also be having guests on to talk about these prospects, to offer different kind of viewpoints, perspectives, opinions of guys in this incoming class. So we're going to try to have guys who are, maybe excited about it. Hey, this guy over here really is a big Jameson Williams fan. So we'll have him on to, tell us what he loves about Jameson Williams or something along those lines, and maybe somebody he likes less against consensus. And then once we've done enough of those top prospects, we'll then turn our attention to rookie mocks, both superflex and non-superflex, some with just us, some with the patrons, and some with guys from the industry. So we got a kind of a fun idea planned with that. Looking forward to all that. So with all that said, be sure to subscribe, because we're going to be pumping stuff out. Hopefully we can kind of give you a little bit of a one-stop shop if you so choose, but a lot of information out there. So go find what you can, find some other guys that you can stand, and let's go.
Let's do it. All right, so we already said it. We're doing rookie profiles. We're doing it. We're really doing it, Harry, earlier than we ever have. We're on this shit for your pleasure. We're going to hit you with a little, as you mentioned, some Treylon.
Got a little Treylon Burks.
Large man.
Yeah. 6'3", 225 out of Arkansas, question mark. Some variation of weights. Some have him up in the 230s.
I think they listed him at like 233 coming into Arkansas, so maybe he trimmed down, toned up.
Right. So we got a little 4-star recruit here from Warren High School, homegrown in Arkansas. According to 24/7 Sports, his senior year was cut short by an ACL tear. Didn't really see that information anywhere. Just happened to kind of catch it on one of the recruiting sites. He was the 11th wide receiver in the nation, 82nd in ESPN top 100 or top 300, I believe. He had offers from Clemson, Michigan, LSU, Oklahoma, Tennessee. Pretty highly touted prospect. Kind of did it all in high school. He played a little running back. He had some pass attempts. He played linebacker and safety. So just a stud all around. Just a pretty dynamic guy. And with that kind of a build, when you see him out in the field, it's something that really grabs your attention quickly.
And he's one thing to mention. I'll bring this card back up. He's a little old. Right? He's going to be 22 by the time he gets drafted. So I don't know where that came from, because he didn't redshirt. Not sure why.
Just could have been old coming out of college.
A lot of people go to college for 7 years.
Yeah, not the case here, though. So maybe he went to high school for 7 years. I don't know. Or maybe he just started. Maybe he's one of those guys who started like as an October baby. I don't know where that was.
March, so.
Anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Right.
Let's just run through the counting stats and some of the analytical stuff here real quick, and then we'll get into kind of our opinion and some film stuff that we saw and what we think this guy is and how we think he'll be used at the next level.
Yeah, so we'll give you these metrics. We'll look at the analytics. We're gonna try and get through these and the counting stats, and we won't read everything off. But if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see the graphic. If you're listening on the podcast, check the about section down below. I'll put all this information so you can kind of read it and see everything for yourself. And definitely check out the YouTube page because I'm gonna be throwing in some clips and some videos for your pleasure to see what this guy's really about. So you want to get into the metrics?
Yeah, make sure you check out those misconnections. Those are always fun. Ready to roll?
Let's do it.
All right. You want it or you want me to do it? You want to do it? You want me to do it?
Breakout age,
You're gonna
a little late. One of us needs to do it. It's 20.5. It's in the 50th percentile. I don't think that the analytics community is going to knock him too much for that. I don't know. We'll see. We'll get into that later. But they do like it to be under 20 years old. So just missed the cutoff there. But the Dominator is where you like to see it in
Super
the 92nd percentile. And then pretty decent yards per reception with 16.8 in the 76th percentile. And he is proposed to run a 4.45 in the 40-yard dash, which, looking at some of the film, he's got speed.
Yeah, you got a little note in here that he was charted at 22.6 miles an hour, MPHs.
Right. And this clip you're seeing is versus Alabama, and none of these boys could catch him.
No, and there's not a, we'll talk about it in the breakdown, but it's not a whole lot of quick twitch, quick acceleration. It's definitely a little bit more of a
build up momentum.
It kind of almost looks a little lumbering when you see it here, but it's effective.
You feel it building really quickly,
right.
though.
So his career stats, he got better every year as he went through college. He comes in 2019, plays 11 games, 58 targets, 29 receptions, 475 yards, 0 TDs.
But made an impact as a true freshman,
right.
Coming off an ACL tear. I think that's notable.
Right. That's a good call. And then in 2020, 9 games, 65 receptions, or 65 targets, 50 receptions, 811 yards, 7 TDs. So big jump there as a red zone and TD scoring threat. And then 2021 puts the cherry on top, really keeps ascending. Like I said, every year getting better and better. Like you said, ACL year the first year, COVID year the second year, and now we're in our third year, which was a little wonky yet still, but a lot more unencumbered like those other 2 years. So 12 games this year, 88 targets, 65 yards, or 65 receptions, 1,100 yards, 11 TDs. So this guy also has some rushing in his game. He's got 36 total rushes, 243 yards, and a touchdown on his resume in the rushing category there. So kind of does it all. Those are pretty strong totals. It's not anything like super crazy, but then just to see him get better every year is something that you like to see. So
right.
Then we get over to the advanced stats side of things. 77% in the slot, 17.1 out wide.
He's a slot wide receiver.
Kind of that big slot.
But versatile.
Right. 16.6 yards per catch, 11.7 ADOT. These are career numbers. 1098 in the yak. 7.7 yak per receptions.
That's got to be good, right?
Right. And then 13 drops on the year, so that's about 4 1/3 a year.
Yeah. Good call.
4.33333.
Repeating, yeah, a little line.
And then 22 contested catches and 30 missed tackles. Forced missed tackles, tackles forced.
Missed tackles forced.
Okay.
He forced those missed tackles.
He sure did.
And then from the rushing standpoint, averaged 6.1 yards per attempt, had 161 yards after contact or 4.03 yards after contact per attempt. So really doing work after the catch. Show you a little clip here of a mean stiff arm where he just treats people like they're children.
Yeah, he set that up and has a mean stiff arm in the bag and just let him have that one in that Alabama game.
That's ridiculous. That's fun.
Breaking these advanced stats then down to this last year, which was his most prolific year, 67.7% in the slot, 222 plays in the slot, and then 79 out wide, and then 9th in the nation in yak with 607 yards, 7th in yak per reception with 9.3. 19.3 would be ridiculous. 9.3. And then 3rd in yards per route run at 3.57.
And that was all to the 2021
These are just
stats.
the 2021 stats where he had really ascended. And, some of these, when you look at some of the analyst breakdowns of what's going on, seem to, when you look at older ones, little worse comps, not as excited about him. And as he continued to go through his college career, seemingly getting people more and more excited as he got better and better. So that's kind of why I wanted to put an emphasis on that 2021 season, because it was his best, and he just keeps getting better. Relatively clean injury-wise. He had the ACL tear in high school, apparently. Didn't see that anywhere else. And then a couple little things here and there.
I believe he had a concussion and a leg injury. They do not tell you many things in college, but definitely played through a lot of things. Missed a couple games here and there, but he was available for these guys, and when he was available, he dominated. He treated people in the SEC the way Corey Davis did in whatever conference that he came
Western
from.
Michigan.
Right?
Yeah. He missed a game. The game before Georgia with a knee injury in 2020.
He left with the game before Georgia. He left with he was spotted with an ankle boot, a boot on his foot.
Everybody's got to wear a boot. They're trendy these days.
And then no, they're not. They look terrible. It looks like, oh damn, that dude's foot's bust up. That's why he's got that boot on. And then he went out and
People
played,
just wear it for like 2 days. So boot for 2 days.
I think he had 3 receptions versus Georgia for like 2 yards or something, and Roto Worlds killed him. Just he really film analytics really going to diagnose this game. So he was in a walking boot last week, Bo.
Right, and maybe they just got the shit kicked out of him by Georgia because they're an inferior opponent. And in that 2020 season, he's playing with Felipe Franks. If you've been following the show for a while, you kind of know my opinion on him. But that leads us into Kendall Briles, who's the offensive coordinator at Arkansas. Kind of got the best out of Felipe Franks, and then really made a big difference with Jefferson back there at quarterback, and really kind of opened up this system when you had a guy who could run and pass at the level that Jefferson was doing that this year. This is an RPO scheme, but a fairly balanced attack. I read somewhere that they were, one of the only teams in the nation that were averaging 200 yards rushing and 200 yards passing. So, pretty balanced, but it all starts with Jefferson and that run scheme, and they do build a lot of window dressings and different things off of that, which is kind of where we can kick it off with Treylon and kind of what he does, because he's a big cog in that wheel.
Right. And before we even get started, like you mentioned, he had all those offers from these high-profile schools. And he went to Arkansas because he's from Arkansas and wanted to make Arkansas great, and took them from being terrible, just terrible, to being like a contender in that Western Conference. I believe they're in the West.
I can't ever remember.
Yeah.
I can't keep my SEC
I think it's
straight.
the West, yeah. But whatever side of the conference they're in, they were a contender.
Never remember that.
All right, well, you want to get into some Treylon? I'll roll a little film, a little more film for your pleasure.
Yeah. And the audio there.
Fancy. Huh?
All right. So, like I said, Treylon Burks is an interesting one to kind of kick off the 2022 rookie season here for us. There are a lot of things that leave you salivating with this guy. Big, sturdy frame, plays with physicality, large, strong hands, just these monster custom
5XL.
just tennis rackets out there.
I wonder what size his socks are.
Probably, I mean,
5XL?
huge gloves.
Yeah. Huge socks.
What if he just had the tiniest little peen?
Doubt it. Highly unlikely.
He's dragging that across 4 heads.
For sure. Look at him.
So large, strong hands. Like we said, there could be a little drops in there, but I think
There's
most
some
of that,
lapses in concentration.
just,
that happens with everyone.
right. And when you go to PFF and you sort by drops and look at this year, he's at 4, and he's kind of right in the middle with everybody else. There's a lot of people who are more significant than him with bigger drop numbers this year. So not too concerned with that, but really. What this guy's a fucking locomotive with the ball in his hands. Like, arm tacklers, meek, uninterested tacklers, just beware. Like, this guy is going to run through you once he gets rolling. He's like I said, a big cog in this Arkansas offense that is very RPO-y. They do a lot of different things, a lot of short, intermediate stuff, a lot of stuff behind in bubbles, and lining up at H-back and lining up at running back and lining up just kind of
Right.
tight end,
'Cause
in tight.
He lines up as running back. They
Right.
run RPOs with him. They direct snap it to him. They put him in motion a ton. They hand it off to him a fair amount, and he does work.
Right.
But that could lead to. Do you think he's a little gadgety?
No, so I think that's a
versatile a better word?
I think it's disrespectful to call him gadgety.
Okay.
I think, look, I mean, you could say a lot about a lot of players, and I think this is kind of a good segue into that. And we're going to talk about it quite a bit through this process, and it's scheme. Scheme will be a factor of how great Treylon ends up being to me. Not saying that you can't put him in a traditional sleepy offense, and he can and won't produce. I mean, I think he certainly can. You could line him up out wide. You could develop his route running and route tree a little bit, hone in on what he accelerates on, and do that. Like he showed you in some of these clips, and some of the clips you've seen. And if you're not watching on YouTube, you can go find some of these that he can win downfield. He does have some speed.
Right. Well, he definitely has some speed, and he has late separation too.
Right.
Like he has the upper body strength to go up and make the back shoulder fades, to come to a ball a little thrown a little short, and you can't go up with him because even if you can jump as high as he can jump, or
He's
if
already
you're
at
as
a
tall
physical
as he can be,
advantage.
which not too many
Just-
DBs are 6'3",
Right.
But the upper body strength,
Or 225.
you just can't get through him.
Right.
You can't get through to the ball, so he has the ability to win downfield
Right.
for sure.
He can win downfield, and he's shown the ability to win downfield and in the intermediate here and there. And then when maybe he isn't quite separated, like you said, that physicality can come in right there. He can go up above you, or he isn't the worst at cheating. There is some times where you can see some late hand movement where he's pushing guys off, and I'm sure has been called for that. But he is a decent cheater, and I think that's a big part of playing this receiver or this position as you get to the next level. And he's a pretty strong hand fighter kind of down the field. Not a whole lot of stuff in press to say that he fights off of hand stuff, but he's playing out of the slot a lot.
Right, he didn't get pressed very much, but
I'm not worried about that, and that's going back to kind of what I'm saying here is like I said, he can win down the field with some speed. He also can win with some physicality, which again should translate to being hard to stop in the red zone. But if you really want to unlock the full potential, you kind of got to do what you're doing at Arkansas and what he's already showing you that he's awesome at. Line him up all over the place, get his ball in his hands in multitudes of ways, letting him just go to work. Let him work through traffic. Let him find those spots in the zone, which he was absolutely outstanding in 2021. According to PFF, he was the fourth highest graded wide receiver against zone coverage. You can see it when he plays. He has an understanding of moving with the quarterback, staying in that soft spot, finding those areas, and then catching that ball. And once he catches that ball, all bets are off. Like he can win with that long one ball, or he can win with the 49er style Deebo Samuel, throw it to him 7 yards coming across the field and just let him do his thing.
right, he does crush the crossing route for sure.
So
and
I don't think it's gadget. I think that's a disrespectful word for him because I do think he could do the other thing, and we haven't even seen him do the other thing. So maybe he could just line up at the X or out wide and just do his thing and hone the craft a little bit more and really just be out there. But I think what we've seen, what they've kind of unlocked, how he moves around, how he plays, I think just what I said, you got to use him in all these different multitudes of ways, and I don't think he would bust going into a traditional sleepy offense, like I said, but to really get what he could be, I think you need to try to unlock him a little bit.
I agree. I mean, he's really intriguing guy. I mean, he just can make the spectacular grab. The yak's out of control. He has long runs or catches of 91 yards, 85 yards, 68, 66, 65, 59, 55. He has like 10 plus runs of 50 plus yards. Or plays. Like he's
Right.
an explosive duty, and he has that long speed. He can house it from anywhere to go with the physicality of just beasting people. And you got that versatility. He can run. He's a pretty strong blocker when he wants to. He does take some plays off.
Yeah,
right?
there could
It's
be a
little lax
negative
there.
check mark with the drops, maybe some lack in focus and lack in willingness. But when the blocks are good, they're good. And sometimes you can see his man does make the tackle because maybe it was a little lackadaisical on said play. Fair.
And some of those teams, some of those years on that Arkansas team were pretty bad, right? You're not into it as much when you're not playing well, which, young dude at that point. But he might be a little raw, right? He definitely has some polishing to do to come into this next level, but the potential is through the roof. It's just the ceiling is the sky, and the value isn't going anywhere, I don't think. I'm pretty sure that the analytical community likes him despite that breakout age, right? I mentioned that they like it under 20. I read something about, here's a quote, given normal human development, 19-year-old males are at a physical disadvantage compared to 21-year-old males. The ability to dominate despite operating at a handicap is indicative of a surplus talent, right? So I get that, but we've never been breakout age guys, right?
Right.
We've never really been. We're not analytical guys. We want to look at the analytics and take what they can provide us. But when the analytical people get behind a player, it can elevate their value, and not only elevate it but sustain it, right? So certain guys like DJ Moore,
right? When they check all those boxes,
he didn't have to reach his ceiling to continually have an ADP where his ceiling was.
Right.
You know what I mean? When analytical people get behind a player, it can sustain their value, so there's less risk long term. You have more time to get out of a guy and not lose as much value if he's not performing, if the analytical community is behind him.
Right. And if they weren't, then and he doesn't
if they didn't like him, David Montgomery, no matter how good he fucking does, people still don't respect my man.
Right. Fair point there. We're talking post NFL draft, and you're talking NFL wife here,
right? Right. So because you want to take this guy, you're gonna have. Is he the wide receiver one? I mean,
we've only done one of these guys, so right now he's the wide receiver one for us. Obviously, I don't know if he's going to end up there. I mean, there's some depth in this class. You got David Bell and the two guys from Ohio State, Garrett Wilson and Olave. You have Jahan Dotson. You have who's the other guy I'm missing? Drake London. So a big crowd of guys at the time. And then Jamison Williams, who's a lot of people's favorites as well. So I mean, I think there is going to be a lot of jockeying probably for wide receiver one. I don't think it's going to quite be like the consensus of it's Chase and then everybody else, and maybe Devontae is kind of right in there, but it's going to be Chase or Devonta. It's Chase, and that was pretty much where everybody stood. I think this year is going to be a little different, and I think it's going to be a good thing because I think it's just going to mean that there's some good depth in this class.
Sure.
And there really has been just in general.
Last few years.
Right.
These boys are coming correct, ready to go. The days of Corey Coleman and Laquan Treadwell. Shout out to Laquan.
Helping us win an FFPC championship.
Brought it back, but the days of them boys, it feels like it's gone. There was another guy in that class that didn't do anything. I can't. Your boy White.
Was Kevin White in that class?
I think so.
I might have been in the class.
You're right. But there was another guy missing. They all busted. But
Perriman
maybe. But it seems like those days are gone. These guys are coming correct. But when it comes to Treylon Burks, to kind of wrap this up in a bow, you're not fucking it up by taking Treylon Burks.
It doesn't
seems like a safe.
I think
play.
Depending on landing spot, which we talk about a lot, and I try not to let it fuck up too much of my opinion, but when Bateman went to the
remember when
Ravens,
AJ Brown went to the Titans and nobody liked it,
and we've seen it work both
Chubb
ways.
Went to the Browns and it was terrible.
So we try not to let it wade into the decision too much, but opportunity is king, and really if he can get into a spot where is he going to be Laviska Shenault, who I think has the skill and the play, and is maybe a little bit, I'm not saying he is, but maybe a little bit similar in kind of how he could play, but we haven't really seen him be unlocked on how maybe we thought he could be. And I mean, Jacksonville again is just one of those places where it's it's abysmal right now. We don't really know what's going on. They need to fix some things.
His transmission's busted.
Or is he going to, a lot of people are going to compare him to A.J. Brown, maybe not quite as dynamic, but I mean, if you're just going to be just a little bit lesser A.J. Brown, I'll take that all day long. Or if you want to compare him to, there's going to be some Deebo Samuels because of the running ability and the run after catch and all that kind of stuff. And I think all that stuff is fair, and that's kind of where he is. I mean, those guys are upper echelon guys. He may be, maybe a little toned down version of those guys, or he might be right on par with those guys. I think that's kind of your range of outcomes. I don't think he has bust potential, but to really explode and be where he needs to be, you need to use him as he should be intended to be used.
Like a souped-up Rondale Moore, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I mean, that's the whole, the Cardinals haven't invested in Rondale Moore being the focal point or at least a point of that offense quite yet. And I don't know, maybe they will, maybe they won't. But then you got a guy like Elijah Moore who, when he's out there for the Jets, they figure out how to get the ball in his hands, much like they would do with Braxton Berrios in these last couple of weeks. So he's kind of like, if you put Burks in a situation like that, even though it's the Jets, you're putting him as the focal point of that offense. So, and giving him chances to succeed. So, I mean, I like this guy. It was a lot of fun. Like I said, there's a lot of good tools. It is a little interesting because I do think there is a little bit of margin for who gets him and how they develop him and what they do with him. Whereas, I think some of these other guys might be slightly more bulletproof, but I'm certainly not going to hold it against him because, like I said, again, I do think he could succeed in just a traditional offense and be just fine with the tools he has.
Right. He's got number one potential, and he's got a pretty high floor and a pretty high ceiling. So You're not fucking it up. I don't know if he'll be our wide receiver one, but we'll see. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you're listening on the podcast, hit us with a 5-star review. If you're on YouTube, please let me get that subscribey, the subby, leave a commenty.
A ment? Hit us with a ment.
Thumbs up, thumbs down. I don't care either one. I obviously want a thumbs up, but I appreciate y'all joining us, and we'll be back next week with maybe a rookie report, maybe another profile. We'll see. We're trying to bang these out. This is the earliest we've ever done a rookie profile. It's January 5th today. I guess it'll be 6 by the time y'all get it. But
yeah, let's go. I'm excited.
Appreciate y'all. Peace.